What up, people? It's your boy Chick from Gooner Eagle Eye coming to you again with a brand new video. This time it is to talk about transfer news. That's right, you're through to Eagle Eye, the transfer rumours show. Now, apologies for the delay in bringing this to you. Super busy this weekend. I actually thought I'd give myself the day off, both jobs, my normal job and this. But I figured just when I was thinking about, oh, maybe I should take the weekend off, thought to myself, you know what? Too much stuff has been happening. I have to find a way of addressing it with you guys. So let's just get to it. Let's talk about Kieran Tierney. Man, oh man, a lot has happened since I last spoke to you about this. So Arsenal have not lodged just one bid. They've lodged two bids with Kieran Tierney. The first one was said to be in a region of about 15 million. As the reports are coming out, and I've got a particular source I use for transfer stories, and the belief is that Arsenal lodged a £19 million bid for Kieran Tierney, with the belief that they would lower their demand and they would meet somewhere in the middle of the early 20s. Celtic are playing hardball. They insist that he won't go for less than 25. And it's yet to be decided as to whether Arsenal go back in for a third bid. My worry with this is Arsenal are not really persistent with things like this. If they believe that Kieran Tierney or any player is under the value that they set, they'll have two stabs at the cherry of it. They don't often go back for a third stab. So my worry is now that two bids have been rejected, will Arsenal go back in for a third bid? The player himself, I mean, you don't know about Kieran Tierney, and I would imagine most YouTubers have been talking about him over the past weekend at least. Very, very good player, 22 years old. Currently Scotland's number 2, which is no shame when you think that number 1 is Andy Robertson. I think most people agree is the best left back in the Premiership, if not one of the best left backs in the world. So there's no shame necessarily in that. I guess we're trying to create our own Andy Robertson, if you like. And with Kieran Tierney, this could be the player. I was having this debate, funny enough, with a friend of mine over WhatsApp. He's a Scotland fan, and even he was a bit like, 25 million though. And I said, yeah, but he's British. He's going to be one of these players that are going to be overpriced in a lot of ways. Because yes, whilst he's very proven in the Scottish League, it is the Scottish League. So I think it's one of those things where you have to kind of take it, not necessarily a pinch of salt. Kieran Tierney is clearly a good player. He's clearly one of, if not the head and shoulders player in that league. But it's also a case of we need to be able to manage our expectations and really kind of say to ourselves that if we do get him over the line and he does become an Arsenal player, that we're not expecting a ready-made Andy Robertson straight away. It will take time to adapt, particularly to the pace of the Premier League. It is a world of difference from what he's experienced, but he has attributes that no doubt we're going to benefit from. First and foremost, he can cross a down ball. I think that's the thing that we could see and that we miss with any of our fullbacks at the moment. We just need someone with a bit of a composure and a bit of ability to be able to cross a ball. We don't have many of them, and Kieran Tierney is someone who can do that. He gets up and down very well. Doesn't aimlessly just go up there and that's it. Does see himself to be a bit of an attacking fullback. That being said, is someone that gets back and challenges well. One thing I think we've missed probably since Clichy left is someone that can get that balance right. Clichy was a really good, able person to step into the fray and really give us some good, consistent performances. As much as I can't stand him, let's be real, he was the best left back we ever had. Ashley Cole was the perfect left back. He was someone who I think most people would say was an attacking fullback. You know, he even started his career as a left winger, and then converting himself into a left back. Was a fantastic player. Gibbs had his days where he was fantastic, and then had his days where he was just Kieran Gibbs. Let's be real. So we never really fully replaced Ashley Cole. Mind you, like I said, I think Clichy did pretty well. Was quite an underappreciated player in a lot of ways. But I actually think Kieran Tierney could be that guy. And you know what I mean? I don't like getting gassed by certain players. Like you see a lot of people getting gassed by the fact that initially Arsenal made moves for the Sampdoria duo Anderson and Torreria or Parat, or however you say it. Notice it's all gone quiet by those two players. No fan even mentions them. And you saw me, I weren't overly gassed by those two players, but with this guy, I do like him a lot. I do think he's going to be a really, really good player. And with Arsenal, I hope they're not scared off by the fact that two bids have been rejected. It'd just be nice to just pay what they asked. That's an idea. Just pay what they asked you to pay. I don't understand what the problem is. Always nickel and diamond. I hate it. But hey, we are where we are. We're in the position we're in. And Arsenal, let's see if they go back in for a third bid. I do have this strange feeling we're about just a little over a week away from that Arsenal kit launch. Don't be surprised if this deal is a little bit further on than is currently being reported. Because I found it a bit strange that the two reports were so close together. Arsenal normally have two bids that close together. And I just have a feeling this deal is a little further on than we're led to believe. Don't be surprised if miraculously, I'm not saying it will happen, don't be wrong, but don't be surprised if it miraculously the bid has been accepted by Tuesday. Then you know, remember these words, and then you know it was right. And then if I'm wrong, forget these words. Okay, let me go to the next part of the story. So Kieran Tierney was actually spotted in London yesterday. So I think Arsenal fans saw that, got a bit gassed. Found out the reason that he was in London yesterday. Bellator was on yesterday. And his boy, Chris Bungard, was fighting Charlie Leary in Bellator London. I'm a big MMA guy, never heard of these two. I'll be real, they must have been undercard people. So yeah, that was the reason he was in London. I think people saw that he was in London, put two and two together, and came up with 5. Mind you, he has commented on the fact that Arsenal have shown an interest in him, and he does seem to be keen on the Arsenal move. He does believe, you know, despite the fact that he is a boyhood Celtic guy, I think he feels that the next step or the next evolution in his career is to test himself somewhere else, is to test himself at a big club, in a different league, in a more competitive league. He's done everything he can at Celtic. You know, it's a lot of the reason why Brendan Rodgers jumped at a chance to go from Celtic, who arguably are a bigger side than the one he's just taken over from, to Leicester. Yes, all right, they're very recent Premier League champions. They ain't a bigger side than Celtic, though. But it just goes to show you that league, it's a dead league. So, you know, it's no surprise really that if someone makes a big enough play for Kieran Tierney, they'll get him because he'll be eager to test himself. And this is why I think Arsenal need to be mindful of the games they're playing, because we're not the only ones interested in Kieran Tierney. You know, United have previously shown an interest in Kieran Tierney. Napoli have shown an interest in Kieran Tierney, as have I think it was Everton that also shown interest in Kieran Tierney. So we need to be careful with these games that we're playing, because what I don't want to hear next week is United have made a bid for Kieran Tierney and we're left holding our dick, like wondering what happened. So I think we just need to just get this done. It's clear that this is a priority signing because it's the only one that we've definitely sure there's been a bid for. So let's make the move, tie the deal up, stop fucking around. Speaking of bids that have taken place, Came out yesterday that AC Milan have made their first offer. And so you're thinking to yourself, all right, cool. So, we know that they were interested. They made an offer. So you're probably thinking it's probably in the region of about 40 to 50 million pounds. No. Okay. Maybe the deal was in the region of around 30 million pounds. No. The deal that they offered was a 2-year loan deal where they pay us 8 million euros. And then at the end of that 2-year loan deal, they would be obliged to buy Torreria for 38 million euros. Tell them to suck my left for that. The one thing that has interesting with this story is Arsenal's stance has changed a little bit. And I've got to tell you guys the truth. So is mine a little bit. I'll be honest. So Arsenal's stance has changed. They're actually willing to hear an offer. The way they see it is if they feel like they receive an offer in a region of about 45 million pounds, they'll be ready to sell it. For me, I still think that's too low. I'd like something in the region of about 50 to 60 million pounds. And I sell him, to be honest. And I go and buy someone like I don't know, Ndombele, who's an actual defensive midfielder who will sit there and do a job. I know he's talked highly of Spurs, but that's because Spurs are the ones making a play for him. Why don't we go and make a play for him? I know I rate that guy a lot. Or failing that, some people will say Doucouré. Now, you guys know I'm high on Doucouré. I am very, very high on Doucouré. The reason you never really heard me talk about Doucouré as a replacement for Torreira is because Doucouré is not a DM. He's more of a central midfielder who has a defensive mind, but is more of someone that likes to go forward. So he can do a defensive job, but he's someone that likes to think offensively. To me, Doucouré would be a better replacement for Granit Xhaka. And I'll tell you why my stance on this has changed. Ultimately, if the guy wants to go, let him go. Because it's funny, the more I do reviews, I think the one thing that everybody can agree with, maybe not so much Tony, you know. If you live on Twitter, you know. Sorry, Tony, if you're watching this. If the thing that everybody can agree on is that for some reason this guy's form dipped sharply the last 2-3 months of the season for no reason. And kind of thought about it more and more and more. And kind of my feeling on it is if he really wants to go that badly, let's let him go. I'll miss him, and it would be a damn shame because I think he made a really good impact, particularly when he first came into the team. But he's dropped more and more hints about how, kind of like he's ready to leave, and it will mean a lot to him if he could be allowed to go to AC Milan and go back to that Sampdoria manager. And to me, I'd rather make use of that money and replace him if necessary. Replace him with someone that is ready to do a better job in that position. And as good as Torreira has been, I think we can all agree he's not irreplaceable. He isn't. I'd like him to stay. And if he turns around and stays, please don't get it twisted, I'll be happy. But I'm also not sat here thinking, fuck that. No, he's indispensable. Because as I said to you the other day, none of these players are indispensable. We are not in that position. We're not in a position where we could be picky and choosy over who we sell and who we don't. All we are in the position of is, are we in a position of strength or not? Fortunately, with Torreira, we are. We're in a position of strength. My only concern is we're asking for 45 million. We should be asking for more than 45 million. What are we talking about? We just bought this guy. If you really want him that badly, put up some dough or bounce. And that is exactly what Celtic have basically done with the Tierney deal, going back to the Tierney deal. You know, they just said to Arsenal, "You taking a piss? Either put up some dough or bounce." And that's the other thing I will say about the Tierney deal. I don't want this to be the Liverpool situation again, because I'm getting some real flashbacks with Suarez and 40 million and £1. Just what they're asking is 25. We bid 19. Just go up to the down 25. We can at least afford that right now. We've not spent any money right now. At least it allows us to know who we should sell and who we shouldn't. How much we should demand from certain players and how much we shouldn't. So for me, no messing around. You ask AC Milan. For me, if it was me, I'd say 60 million or go. If it was up to me, realistically, if it's Arsenal at least take 50 million. At least take 50 million. And then go and use that 50 million and buy someone of quality. Anyway, that's my Lucas Torreira rant over. I can't believe it. I was totally wrong about this. When this story first came up, I thought it would vanish. But Lucas Torreira hasn't done anything to kill this story, which lets me know that, he actually wants to go. So in that case, go. Just make sure that they pay their money for him. I know the story came out yesterday, but I didn't do a show yesterday, so I might as well cover it today. And that is Laurent Koscielny. He's still considering a bid from Lyon. A couple of French clubs are actually hovering around to see what will happen, and that's Bordeaux, and I believe the other one is Monaco, but I'm less sure about that other one. They're hovering around Koscielny just in case he's looking for another alternative in terms of going back to France. He has let it be known that he'd like to finish his career in France. Obviously, for him, he spent a long time at Arsenal. So he might be thinking to himself, he's a little bit hesitant leaving them at the moment. He is technically the Arsenal captain. So he may be thinking about it with a bit of a heavy heart. I've got this horrible feeling he's going to reject me. I do have this horrible feeling. Supposedly the club have left it in his hands, so they've left it to him to decide. And he's still thinking and mulling over the idea. So it really is about whether or not Arsenal will feel as though they need to replace him with two defenders or not. I think the other feeling is that he may stay, leave on a free, and then if we get the Saliba deal over the line, then by the time Saliba comes back, because presumably Saliba will stay at Saint Etienne on loan, come back the year after, and then by the time Koscielny leaves, Saliba comes in, and there's your replacement. So it is what it is. Let's see what happens. Quickly, let me touch on this story because I've not spoken about him in some time, and that's Christopher Nkunku. A £13.5 million bid came in for him. No, £13.5 million bid is set to be his value. Hold on, what? 13.5 million? Yeah, you're not mishearing me. It was only, I think, 6 months ago that supposedly Nkunku was worth 30 million. And clearly Arsenal looked at that and thought no. But now they're talking about a cut price free of 13.5 million. Now, I must admit, and this is coming from me, I don't really rate him. I'll be honest, I don't really rate him. Very, very raw talent. The one thing I will say is he's a good passer of the ball. Supposedly he's a central midfielder, but whenever I've seen him play well, it tends to be either on the right or left. He has got decent energy, terrible crossover ball. But he's very, very good passer, got good strength of the ball, very athletic. There's a raw talent there. I can see what we would like about him. Whether Emre goes for him, Emre's set to rate him very highly. He does work hard. He does get up and down well. And that might be the reason as to why Emre decides to take a gamble. Plus, it's 13.5 million. I mean, if you want to look at it in a different way, and you don't necessarily believe what I'm saying, we could potentially get a £30 million player for 13.5 million. Maybe the gamble might be worth it. For me, as a club that has limited money, I wouldn't take it. I wouldn't take the risk. I'd rather go for another player. I'm not impressed by him. I'm not a huge fan of him. I must admit. But by the way, the other club that I said was interesting in Kieran Tierney is Leicester. Apologies, not Everton. They're looking for a Chilwell replacement in case he decides to leave. And that's pretty much all the stories. I'm going to be honest, I'm going to stop talking about Yannick Carrasco, but there's also some stuff going on about how the club have priced him out of a move. And there's a lot of chatter about how, because basically the club are trying to fight back, and a lot of the players are talking about how his attitude stinks and this, that, and the other. And a lot of people have asked me my opinion on it. I think he's a good player, but I wouldn't also break the bank for him. If we're going to go £30 million for any player, you guys know what I'm going to say. You're bored of me hearing me say it, but I'm going to say it one last time. It should be Hakim Ziyech, not Yannick Carrasco. Because I just think Hakim Ziyech, is a better all-round player. I think Carrasco is a good player. He was definitely someone I admired a lot when he was at Atletico Madrid. I don't necessarily think that going to a club for money makes you a bad player. You may question the mentality, but then who the heck? Everyone listening here that's going to talk about any self-righteous shit, are you turning down that type of money for China? Let's be fucking real. Everyone has their price. That was apparently his. So I'm not going to talk too much shit about him, but yeah. Oh, and I suppose there's one more. You know what? No, I won't talk about that story. I want to see if that story has some legs before I mention it. But that's pretty much it for me today, guys. You guys let me know if you like any of the things I've spoken about today. Do you have your opinions on anything I've spoken about today? Let me know in the comments below. I've not had a chance to look in the chat room, but I may as well say thank you to VP ahead of time. There's no doubt you've contributed somehow. So thank you. Thank you ahead of time if you contributed through a donation. J-Rob or anyone who has, thank you very much. I'm not in the chat room at the moment. This was just a very, very, very quick show. But I hope you've liked the video. Please do give a massive thumbs up for the video. These things always help drive the traffic, attention to the show. And you guys have done really well with that lately. A few of my videos have gone through 100 likes, which is always a nice feeling when that happens. Some have come very close. Let's see if we can get this one through 100 likes. So please do crush that like button for me. Destroy it. I'll be back tomorrow, back to my pre-recorded editing. I've been learning over the weekend. That's one thing I have been doing. So I ain't just had the day off for no reason. I've been picking up some tidbits. So you're about to see just a little bit of professionalism from me. Just a little bit. I've almost finished my chopping block. That'll be back tomorrow. It was supposed to be today, but I've changed my mind on the chopping block. That'll be a controversial one. That's all I'm going to say. But watch out for tomorrow, and I'll be back. That's it. I'm out of here. Take care. Deuces.